All right, now that we have the Shopify theme files locally, let's go ahead and open it in Cursor. So open your Cursor app, and on the main screen, you'll see the option to open a folder. So we'll select that folder we created and pull all the Shopify theme files. And when you first open those files, you see this left-hand pane with all of the files. And I'll quickly go over some of the other options here. But of course, we'll go over all of these in depth in later videos. So you can press Command J, and this will toggle the terminal window, which we'll use to communicate with the Shopify store. Command L, which will show the chat window. And then Command B, this is where you can show and hide the files pane. And of course, all of these you can easily toggle with the icons in the top right. So this is for the files, terminal, and chat. And for now, we'll hide the terminal and chat as we go over some of the other options here. So on the left-hand side, we have the Files tab. This is the folder we opened. Search, so you can search any file that you previously opened. This is for if you have version control with GitHub. And lastly, the extensions marketplace. And from here, we'll install some extensions that will help us make things easier when we're working with our Shopify store. So these are 4 extensions you'll need. You can just simply search them here. First is the Liquid by Sissel. Then we'll get the Shopify Liquid Autocomplete by Shape, Shopify Liquid from Shopify themselves, and Shopify Liquid Snippets by Waze Agency. And when you click on any of these, you'll see the option here. Right now I have disabled uninstalled, but you'll see the option to click install. And then some of these may prompt you to restart your Cursor app, but you just simply need to close and reopen Cursor and you'll be all set. So now that we have our extensions installed, let's go ahead and take a look at the Cursor settings. So you click on the gear icon in the top right, and let's go ahead and hide the files pane. And the first thing we'll see here is the rules for AI. And we'll have this as a snippet that you can copy and paste into your settings. But basically, this guides the AI on how to think and execute on your asks. For example, you don't want to explain stuff. You want the actual code and, be concise, treat it as an expert, and so on. So once you copy and paste this, you don't need to adjust this anymore. But below that, we want to also enable the Cursor rules file. And this will be individual project-based rules that tells the AI how to work within that project. So we have the main rules, and then we can have separate rules for, say working with Shopify. And we'll go over this separately when we start to work directly with the theme files. Below, we have some other settings here. You can keep privacy mode disabled. And now let's go over to models. And with the Cursor app, you'll have access to the latest and greatest AI models like Claude 3.5 Sonnet, GPT-4o, and the O1 preview, all of which are really great at coding. So we do recommend enabling those models. And of course, if you have separate accounts with API keys, you can add those in. But we do recommend signing up for the Cursor Pro membership. And this will give you unlimited completions, fast requests, and more for all of those premium models. Of course, you can start out with the free just to get things going, but we do ultimately recommend getting a pro account. This way, you're not limited by the models and wait times while you're coding. So now switching over to the features settings, we want to make sure that we have the Cursor tab and Cursor Composer enabled. These are 2 very powerful Cursor features, and we'll go more into these a little bit later, but just make sure that those are enabled. And for the individual toggles, you can leave the defaults that they have. The other settings are more based on preference, so you don't need to really pay attention to that right now. Below is the code-based indexing, and this basically shows you anytime there's new files or anything like that added, it'll be faster for the AI to reference the files locally. So you can check this periodically and just make sure that it's always 100% synced. For the docs section, we'll go over this a little bit later too, but this is basically where you can add, developer docs from different tools and services that you'll then have your AI reference so it can give you better answers. And right below that, we have the chat settings. So some of these might be enabled by default. So we want to make sure that we have always search the web turned off. And some of these others, you can pause the video and kind of see which ones you want to enable or disable. These are the ones we recommend keeping enabled, the narrow scroll bar and the show chat history. For example, with the always search the web, you will always have the option to tag the web and search it, but we don't always want it to be searching. We want it to mainly be referencing our files and then any docs or anything like that that we tell it to. Below that is for the editor. Again, these are going to be more preferential features. So we just by default have the show chat tooltip, and this is going to be more of like helpful information as you're coding, as well as the auto select. So you can keep these two enabled. And the same thing here on the terminal if you want to show terminal hints. And we recommend keeping these on as you're starting out so you can better understand what's going on. And if there's an error, it'll tell you exactly what to do and give you some additional hints. On beta, we simply just need to enable the long context chat. The others, you can keep these disabled for now, but we'll mostly be using the features here and then the AI models. All right, so this covers the main setup for your cursor settings, and we installed some Shopify extensions that will help us code faster and be more helpful. And in the next section, we'll explore those cursor features like tab, composer, and more, and how it will help us in our Shopify development.